Elon Musk's 4-year-old son, A-12, became the unexpected center of attention during a formal Oval Office gathering. His playful interruptions, spontaneous interactions with President Donald Trump, and unfiltered curiosity stole the spotlight, shifting the narrative from government policy to a media frenzy. Did Musk anticipate his son's impact on the event? How did Trump and the press handle the unexpected disruption? And why did Grimes publicly express her disapproval? The atmosphere in the Oval Office was filled with anticipation as President Donald Trump prepared to sign an executive order granting additional powers to the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, under the leadership of Elon Musk. The event was expected to be a significant moment in governmental innovation, drawing attention from politicians, journalists, and key stakeholders. Cameras were set up to broadcast the signing ceremony live, ensuring that millions around the world could witness this policy development unfold in real time. Attendees whispered among themselves, speculating on the broader implications of the decision and what Musk's involvement might mean for future technological advancements. As the room settled, Elon Musk entered, making his way toward the front. But what caught everyone's attention was not just his presence. It was the fact that he was accompanied by his 4-year-old son, A-12, often referred to simply as X. The boy's unexpected appearance sparked murmurs among those present. It was unusual to see such a young child at a high-profile political event, particularly in the formal setting of the Oval Office. Dressed in a tan coat over a blue shirt and navy jumper, with a thick gold chain adorning his chest, X stood out among the sea of suits. Musk himself, wearing a black Make America Great Again cap, a black t-shirt and an overcoat, seemed unbothered by the curiosity his son's presence generated. As President Trump began the official proceedings, X's curiosity became evident. The young boy, seemingly unfazed by the grandeur of the event, appeared eager to explore his surroundings. He whispered to President Trump, perched on his father's shoulders at one point and later squirmed on the floor, displaying typical childlike restlessness. Soft chuckles rippled through the room as journalists and attendees observed the uninhibited behavior of the youngest person in the room. Meanwhile, the cameras kept rolling, capturing every unscripted moment, ensuring that audiences at home could see not only the policy announcement, but also the unexpected, lighthearted moments unfolding alongside it. Throughout the 30-minute session, X continued to display his playful antics. He tugged at his father's clothes, shifted positions restlessly, and even picked his nose while standing next to President Trump. In the midst of the formal proceedings, the contrast between the child's candid behavior and the solemnity of the event was striking. President Trump, seated behind the resolute desk, glanced over at X occasionally, at times appearing amused, at other times slightly bewildered by the child's unpredictable movements. It was a reminder that no matter how structured an event might be, the presence of a 4-year-old could bring an element of unpredictability. While Musk addressed questions from reporters about the DOGE initiative and its broader implications, X remained an undeniable focal point. At times, his father attempted to maintain his composure, answering inquiries with his characteristic confidence. Yet, as X continued to shift around, occasionally directing his attention toward the reporters, Musk was clearly aware of his son's presence. Some in the audience exchanged glances, acknowledging the unusual yet humanizing aspect of the moment. Despite the serious nature of the event, the young boy's natural curiosity and behavior provided a rare, unscripted glimpse into Musk's life beyond his professional persona. Notably absent from the event was X's mother, pop artist Grimes. It later emerged that she had been unaware of her son's participation in the Oval Office gathering until a social media user alerted her. Expressing her disapproval online, she wrote, "He should not be in public like this. I did not see this, thank you for alerting me, but I'm glad he was polite." Sigh. Her reaction highlighted the complexities of co-parenting, particularly in high-profile situations where decisions about a child's public appearances could become subjects of public discussion. The statement also added another layer of intrigue to the event, as people speculated about the dynamic between Musk and Grimes when it came to their son's upbringing. As the event drew to a close, President Trump proceeded with signing the executive order. marking the official expansion of the Department of Government Efficiency's role. Musk and X stood by his side, positioned near the iconic Resolute desk. As the cameras flashed, capturing the historic moment, it became clear that despite the significance of the policy announcement, X had unintentionally stolen the show. His spontaneous presence had captivated the attention of those in the room and the millions watching at home. What was intended to be a major political moment had, instead, become a widely discussed scene that blended governance with an unscripted glimpse into Musk's personal life. In the aftermath of the event, media outlets around the world covered the story extensively. While some reports focused on the executive order itself, much of the public's interest revolved around X's presence and behavior during the event. Conversations online ranged from amusement at his childlike antics to debates over the appropriateness of bringing a young child to such a formal setting. Some questioned whether Musk should have kept his son away from an event of this magnitude, while others appreciated the candid, unfiltered nature of the moment. The incident underscored broader discussions about the balance between public responsibilities and private life, particularly for figures as influential as Musk. The unexpected nature of the moment also reignited discussions about Musk and Grimes' co-parenting relationship. With their high-profile status and differing approaches to public appearances, the incident raised questions about how decisions regarding their son's exposure to the public eye were made. Some viewed it as an innocent and endearing moment, while others saw it as an unnecessary distraction in a formal setting. Regardless of perspective, one thing was certain: the event had left an impression, one that would be talked about long after the policy details had faded from public memory. As discussions continued to circulate, it became evident that X's Oval Office appearance had become a defining moment of the event. It was a rare instance where the formality of a government signing ceremony intersected with an entirely unscripted human moment. Whether intentional or not, the event served as a reminder that even in spaces designed for structure and precision, unexpected moments could reshape the narrative in ways no one could have anticipated. As the cameras continued rolling, the moment that had initially seemed like a formal government event had now turned into an unexpected spectacle. While Elon Musk remained composed, answering questions from reporters about the Department of Government Efficiency, it was evident that his son, A-12, was the unintended focal point. The young boy's presence had already drawn reactions, but as the press conference continued, his energy showed no signs of slowing down. Journalists attempted to maintain focus on Musk's policy statements, but their attention repeatedly drifted to X. At one point, he reached for Musk's sleeve, tugging lightly as if seeking his father's attention. Musk glanced down briefly, offering a quick smile before continuing to respond to a question about technological advancements in government efficiency. Yet, the interruption did not go unnoticed. Some reporters exchanged amused glances, while others kept their cameras trained on the child, sensing that the unpredictable moments were just as newsworthy as the policy announcements being discussed. X's behavior was typical for a 4-year-old, but in a setting like the Oval Office, his presence stood out against the carefully orchestrated decorum of political events. He shifted positions multiple times, sometimes standing near his father, at other times crouching near the desk. For a few moments, he seemed fascinated by the pens on the Resolute desk, picking one up and examining it. Musk, noticing his son's curiosity, gently guided him back toward his side. The gesture was subtle, but it spoke volumes. Musk was accustomed to managing his child's natural curiosity even in highly structured environments. President Donald Trump, seated behind the Resolute desk, had been observing the interactions between Musk and his son with mild amusement. He was known for his unpredictable remarks, and the presence of a lively child in the room seemed to break the formality of the moment. At one point, Trump leaned forward slightly, addressing X directly with a grin. "You're having fun, aren't you?" The comment drew chuckles from some in the room, and for a brief moment the attention shifted entirely to the child. X responded in the way most children his age would, completely unbothered by the attention. He gave a small nod before turning back to his father. Musk gave a half smile but did not divert from the discussion at hand. Meanwhile, journalists whispered among themselves, knowing that this moment would undoubtedly dominate headlines, overshadowing much of the policy content being presented. The situation took another turn when X, feeling increasingly comfortable in the setting, wandered toward the front of the room. Grabbing onto the edge of the desk, he pulled himself up slightly, now standing close to where the microphones were set up. A hush spread through the room as people watched to see what he would do next. Musk, aware of his son's movements, reached out a hand as if ready to intervene, but he hesitated. There was an understanding in his expression. X was simply acting on impulse, driven by curiosity rather than any intention to disrupt. For a brief moment, A-12 stood near the podium, eyeing the microphones. The sight of a 4-year-old standing inches away from the setup designed for world leaders was surreal. The murmurs in the audience grew slightly louder, and journalists instinctively adjusted their cameras. Before anyone could react, X reached for one of the microphones, gripping it with both hands. The action sent a wave of amusement through the room, though it was clear that no one was entirely sure how Musk or President Trump would respond. Musk stepped forward then, placing a hand on his son's shoulder with a light chuckle. "I think you're a little young for press conferences," he said, his tone lighthearted but firm. The journalists in the room laughed, some nodding in agreement. X, seemingly content with his brief moment near the podium, released his grip on the microphone without protest. He turned back toward his father, and Musk gently guided him away from the setup, redirecting him toward a more neutral spot in the room. The tension in the room eased as Musk smoothly transitioned back into his discussion, addressing questions about the implications of increased automation and government efficiency. However, the energy of the event had undeniably shifted. What had started as a straightforward policy discussion had now become a viral moment in the making. Media outlets were already preparing their headlines, and social media users were flooding online platforms with real-time reactions. Meanwhile, outside of the Oval Office, the moment was making its way to X's mother, Grimes, who had not been informed of her son's participation in the event. A social media user alerted her, and her reaction was swift. Posting a short but pointed message, she expressed her disapproval, stating, "He should not be in public like this. I did not see this, thank you for alerting me. But I'm glad he was polite. Sigh." The post quickly gained traction, fueling further conversations about the co-parenting dynamic between her and Musk. Some sympathized with her frustration, while others debated whether the event had been inappropriate for a child or simply an innocent, spontaneous moment. Back inside the Oval Office, Musk continued to answer questions, but he was clearly aware that the event had taken on a life of its own. He maintained his usual confident demeanor, but there were subtle glances toward his son, as if anticipating whether another unexpected moment would unfold. X, however, now seemed more settled, standing quietly beside his father and observing the proceedings with his signature curiosity. As the event neared its conclusion, President Trump made a closing remark, briefly acknowledging Musk's contributions before signing the executive order. The room erupted in applause, marking the official implementation of the initiative. But even as the policy details were finalized, it was clear that X's presence had become the defining moment of the event. The cameras captured Musk and his son standing together as the official documents were signed. For some, it was a rare, unfiltered look at Musk as both a tech visionary and a father. For others, it was a moment of levity in an otherwise formal setting. As the press conference wrapped up, Musk shook hands with President Trump before leading his son toward the exit. Within hours, news outlets began publishing headlines focusing on the unexpected scenes from the event. Discussions online ranged from humor at X's playful interruptions to debates about the responsibilities of high-profile parents. Some viewers found the moment endearing, while others saw it as a distraction from the policy discussion. Regardless of interpretation, the event had already secured its place as a widely discussed topic. As Musk and A-12 left the room, the cameras followed them until the last possible second. The young boy, unaware of the media frenzy unfolding outside, simply walked alongside his father, content with the adventure he had just experienced. The event had concluded, but the discussions were far from over. As the press conference wrapped up, the energy in the room remained charged. The official signing of the executive order had taken place, but the focus had undeniably shifted. The media's attention was no longer solely on the policy itself, but rather on the unexpected interactions that had unfolded between Elon Musk, his son XAA-12, and President Donald Trump. The images and clips from the event were already making their way across social media platforms, fueling conversations that extended far beyond government efficiency. While Musk was accustomed to dominating headlines, this time it wasn't his words or innovations that had captivated audiences. It was his 4-year-old son's uninhibited behavior in one of the most formal settings in the country. Reporters lingered in the room, analyzing every detail of the moment. Some laughed as they replayed clips of X reaching for the microphone, while others debated whether Musk had anticipated such an unpredictable turn of events. Despite the amusement, there was an undertone of curiosity. Musk, known for his calculated approach to public appearances, had handled the situation with ease, but the presence of his son had added an unfiltered human element rarely seen in high-stakes government meetings. The contrast between policy discussions and a child's natural curiosity had made for an unusual yet captivating spectacle. Outside the Oval Office, discussions were intensifying. News outlets were rushing to publish articles, crafting headlines that focused on everything from the details of the executive order to the lighter moments of the event. The internet was abuzz with reactions, and A-12's presence had become the primary topic of conversation. Some users found humor in his antics, playfully suggesting that he had hijacked the press conference. Others took a more critical stance, questioning whether such a young child should have been present at an event of this nature. The debate over Musk's parenting decisions had reignited, with some defending the moment as an innocent, spontaneous interaction, while others saw it as an unnecessary disruption to a formal political setting. Meanwhile, Musk and his son had left the room, moving toward a quieter section of the White House, away from the cameras and reporters. For the first time since the event had begun, the attention surrounding them was momentarily subdued. Musk, though aware of the media storm brewing outside, appeared relaxed as he walked beside his son. X, now seemingly unaware of the significance of the moment, held onto his father's hand, looking around with the same curiosity he had displayed throughout the event. It was a reminder that, despite the high-profile nature of the gathering, he was still just a child exploring the world around him. The White House staff, familiar with handling dignitaries and world leaders, had now found themselves navigating an entirely different type of guest. Some staff members exchanged smiles as they watched the young boy, noting how rare it was to see such unscripted moments unfold in these halls. A few whispered among themselves, commenting on how effortlessly Musk had managed to balance his role as both a speaker and a father in front of an international audience. It was clear that this was a side of him the public did not often see. In the meantime, the reactions online were gaining momentum. Video snippets of the event were being shared at an unprecedented rate, with thousands of comments dissecting every detail. One clip in particular had gone viral, a short but telling moment where X had reached for the microphone while standing near the resolute desk. The combination of his tiny hands gripping the oversized microphone and Musk's amused yet cautious expression had become an instant internet sensation. Memes surfaced, with some jokingly dubbing X as the youngest government disruptor, and others humorously suggesting that Musk was training his successor early. Among the many voices weighing in on the moment was Grimes, though she had already posted her initial reaction expressing disapproval. More media outlets had begun picking up her comments, turning them into another major talking point. Some headlines framed it as a co-parenting disagreement, while others speculated on whether she and Musk had discussed their son's involvement beforehand. The situation had quickly evolved from being a lighthearted interruption at a government event to a larger public discussion about personal boundaries, family dynamics, and the blurred lines between Musk's private and professional life. Back at the White House, Musk was informed of the growing media attention. While he was no stranger to controversy, the nature of this particular debate was different. It was not about his business ventures, technological advancements, or outspoken views. It was about his child and the way he had chosen to integrate him into a highly public event. Still, Musk remained unfazed. He had long understood that every aspect of his life, from his professional decisions to his parenting choices, would be subject to scrutiny. For him, this was simply another day in the public eye. As they prepared to leave, X looked up at his father with a bright-eyed expression, completely unaware of the discussions unfolding in real time about him. Musk, ever the pragmatist, ruffled his son's hair and gave a small smile before leading him toward the exit. Whatever opinions the public might have, the moment had already cemented itself in history. The headlines would continue, the debates would persist, and the internet would dissect every frame of the footage. But for Musk and his son, the day was just another unexpected adventure in a life that was anything but ordinary. As Elon Musk and his son A-12 made their way out of the White House, the event continued to dominate conversations both inside and outside the political sphere. The press conference, initially intended to highlight the signing of an executive order, had turned into something entirely different. Journalists who had been present in the room were now analyzing every detail of what had unfolded, while online platforms were flooded with reactions. News agencies were already pushing articles, some focusing on the executive order and its implications, while others centered entirely on Musk's son and the unscripted moments that had stolen the show. Musk, walking with his son through the corridors of the White House, seemed indifferent to the growing media frenzy. He had been in the public eye for years and knew how quickly narratives could shift. For him, the presence of his son had not been a calculated move, nor had it been a major concern. X was simply a part of his life, and in Musk's view, his appearance at the event was no different from any other moment a child might share with a parent. The media, however, had turned it into something much bigger. Outside, reporters gathered, waiting for Musk to emerge. Cameramen adjusted their angles, and journalists prepared their questions, all eager to get a final comment before he left. The buzz in the air was unmistakable. While Musk was no stranger to press coverage, there was an added intensity to the moment, one fueled by the unexpected nature of the event. When he finally stepped outside with X by his side, the cameras flashed relentlessly, capturing images that would soon be plastered across countless news sites. One reporter, stepping forward, called out a question. "Elon, did you expect your son to steal the spotlight today?" Musk, pausing for a brief moment, smirked before responding. "I wouldn't say he stole the spotlight. He just made things a little more interesting." His tone was lighthearted and his expression gave little away. Another journalist followed up, asking whether he had informed Grimes about X's presence at the event. Musk, still walking, responded simply, "I make decisions based on what works for us." It was a vague answer, but enough to generate further speculation about the dynamic between him and Grimes. The conversation surrounding X's unexpected appearance had already taken on a life of its own. While some saw it as a humorous and relatable moment, others framed it as a larger discussion about parenting in the public eye. Online, debates unfolded over whether Musk had been irresponsible in bringing his son to a formal government event. Some argued that a child had no place in such a setting, while others countered that it was a refreshing departure from the usual rigid atmosphere of political affairs. The divide in opinions was stark, but the one thing no one could deny was that the moment had captured global attention. As Musk and X made their way toward their vehicle, X appeared unfazed by the cameras and questions being thrown in their direction. The young boy, seemingly unaware of the extent to which he had become the center of attention, focused instead on the world around him, pointing at things that caught his interest. For all the noise surrounding the event, he remained a 4-year-old untouched by the complexities of media narratives and public perception. Musk, on the other hand, was well aware of the storm brewing around him. Yet he showed no sign of concern. He had faced criticism before and would likely face it again. To him, this was just another instance of the media crafting its own version of events. Back on social media, discussion showed no signs of slowing down. Memes, analysis threads, and opinion pieces flooded timelines. Some users jokingly referred to X as a future world leader, while others debated whether Musk's relaxed approach to parenting was appropriate for someone in his position. Meanwhile, articles continued to surface, dissecting every angle of the story. Headlines ranged from A-12 steals the show at White House press event to "Did Elon Musk overstep by bringing his son to a government meeting?" The coverage extended beyond tech and politics, reaching lifestyle and entertainment sections as well. At the same time, more statements from Grimes circulated online. While she had already expressed her disapproval in her initial post, Further discussions revealed that she had been completely unaware of X's participation in the event until social media users brought it to her attention. Some speculated about the level of communication between her and Musk when it came to co-parenting, while others empathized with her frustration. It was yet another layer to the evolving story, adding further complexity to an already viral moment. As Musk's vehicle pulled away from the White House, he remained characteristically unfazed by the whirlwind of discussion surrounding him. He had always maintained an unconventional approach to both his professional and personal life, and this situation was no different. Whether intentional or not, his son's presence at the event had sparked a broader conversation, one about parenting, public exposure, and the intersection of personal and political life. In the following days, the discussions would continue, with media outlets revisiting the event through different lenses. Some would focus on Musk's remarks, others on Grimes's reaction, and many would simply replay the moments of X's curious exploration of the Oval Office. But for Musk and his son, the event had already passed. As the headlines changed and new stories emerged, life would move forward, leaving behind yet another moment that had briefly captivated the world. Recently, the world was shocked when one of Musk's children publicly distanced themselves, exposing fractures in the carefully maintained image of the tech mogul's private life. What drove this dramatic rift between father and child? How do Musk's parenting philosophy and public persona impact his family dynamics? And as his children grow up under the intense glare of fame, will they embrace his legacy or reject it entirely? Let's dive in. It's easy to imagine a life of privilege when your father is the richest man on the planet, with a net worth that fluctuates in billions. Yet, the reality for Musk's children seems far from simple. For years, his family life was kept largely private, with only fleeting glimpses of his children in public settings or the occasional social media post. But recent events have shattered this veil of silence, as one of Musk's children made a bold declaration that reverberated across the media. Before diving into these dramatic revelations, it's worth pausing to understand the intricate web of Musk's family. Musk's first foray into fatherhood began with Justine Wilson, a fellow student he met during his days at Queen's University in Canada. Their connection was immediate, and their love story seemed destined for the storybooks. The couple married in 2000, and in 2002, they welcomed their first child, Nevada Alexander Musk. But tragedy struck when Nevada passed away at just 10 weeks old due to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. The devastating loss left an indelible mark on both parents, albeit in profoundly different ways. Justine later revealed that Musk coped by immersing himself in work, focusing on the burgeoning success of PayPal, which would soon catapult him into the upper echelons of Silicon Valley. For Justine, the loss was isolating, a grief she bore largely on her own. Determined to fill the void left by Nevada, she turned to in vitro fertilization, a decision that would result in the birth of twins, Griffin and Xavier, now Vivian, in 2004. 2 years later, triplets Damien, Saxon, and Kai joined the growing family. Though the couple's family expanded rapidly, the bond between Musk and Justine frayed under the weight of Musk's relentless ambition. Their relationship, once marked by mutual admiration, began to erode. Justine felt increasingly sidelined, describing herself as a trophy wife who was expected to support Musk's career without question. By 2008, the marriage ended in divorce, with the couple agreeing to share custody of their 5 children. But even as their marital union dissolved, Musk's family continued to grow. In 2018, Musk and Canadian musician Claire Boucher, better known as Grimes, welcomed their first child together, the now infamous XAAC. The child's name became a cultural phenomenon, sparking debates and memes across the internet. Grimes explained its significance as a blend of science, art, and personal meaning. But the choice underscored Musk's penchant for the unconventional. 2 years later, the couple added another child to their family, a daughter named Exa Dark Sideral, or simply Y. Meanwhile, Musk's relationship with Neuralink executive Shivan Zelas added another layer of intrigue to his family narrative. In 2021, the world discovered that Musk had quietly fathered twins with Zelas through IVF, bringing his total number of children to 10. Later, reports emerged of a third child with Grimes, intriguingly named Techno Mechanicus, or Tau. At first glance, Musk's sprawling family might seem like a modern-day Brady Bunch, but the reality is far more complex. The unique dynamics of having multiple siblings across different mothers paired with the pressures of fame, wealth, and public scrutiny have created a challenging environment for Musk's children. While some of his children remain out of the public eye, others have taken bold steps to distance themselves from their father. One of the most striking instances of this was the decision by Vivian Jenna Wilson, formerly known as Xavier Alexander Musk, to legally change her name and gender at the age of 18. This decision marked a turning point, not just for Vivian, but for Musk's carefully crafted public image. Vivian's choice was not just a personal one, it was a public declaration of her independence from her father. Court documents filed in Los Angeles revealed her reasoning. "I no longer wish to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form." The statement was as direct as it was shocking, setting off a media firestorm. Musk's response, or lack thereof, added another layer of intrigue. Known for his outspoken nature on platforms like Twitter, Musk remained uncharacteristically quiet about Vivian's decision, fueling speculation about the depth of their estrangement. The revelation left many wondering, what could have driven such a profound rift between father and child? Reports began to surface about the challenges Vivian faced growing up in the shadow of Musk's immense fame and often controversial public persona. Musk's frequent comments about gender issues, including a tweet referring to the use of multiple pronouns as an aesthetic nightmare, likely deepened the divide between them. For a young person navigating their identity, such statements would have felt deeply personal, even if they weren't directed at her specifically. But Vivian's story is just one chapter in the larger narrative of Musk's relationship with his children. Behind the public personas and extraordinary names lies a family grappling with the universal challenges of connection, understanding, and love. Musk's parenting philosophy, heavily influenced by his own tumultuous childhood, has been both praised and criticized. A self-described proponent of 18 years of engineering prompts, Musk believes in fostering independence and critical thinking in his children. His approach aligns with his broader ethos of innovation and meritocracy, but it also raises questions about whether it leaves room for the emotional needs of his kids. The tension between Musk's ideals and his children's experiences sets the stage for what is shaping up to be a deeply personal and public reckoning. As more of Musk's children grow into adulthood, their voices and choices will inevitably shape the narrative surrounding their father. Will they follow in his footsteps, embracing his vision for the future? Or will they forge their own paths, free from the gravitational pull of his influence? These questions remain unanswered, but they highlight the complexities of raising a family under the glaring spotlight of fame and fortune. The story of Elon Musk's family has always been one of contrasts, a mix of brilliance and tension, ambition and estrangement. While his public life often celebrates his groundbreaking achievements, his private life reveals struggles that even the wealthiest and most influential figures are not immune to. The estrangement from his daughter Vivian Jenna Wilson was a watershed moment, but it was not an isolated incident. It symbolized a broader set of challenges Musk faces as a father navigating the complexities of raising children in a hyper-public, hyper-privileged environment. For many of Musk's children, growing up has meant living in the long shadow of their father's larger-than-life persona. Musk's parenting philosophy, rooted in his own experiences of adversity and self-reliance, places significant emphasis on independence. He often credits his mother, Mae Musk, for instilling in him a sense of autonomy and resilience, values he has sought to pass on to his children. Yet, this hands-off approach has sparked questions about whether it adequately meets the emotional needs of children growing up in a family that is anything but ordinary. The creation of Ad Astra School, a private institution Musk co-founded, offers a window into his educational priorities. Ad Astra was designed to nurture creativity and critical thinking, rather than adhering to traditional academic structures. Musk once described his approach to education as a way of teaching his children how to think, not what to think. The school's curriculum includes problem-solving challenges and real-world applications, aligning closely with Musk's vision for the future. However, critics have argued that such a tailored, experimental system might isolate his children further from a sense of normalcy or connection to peers outside their unique world. The cracks in Musk's parenting philosophy began to surface publicly with Vivian's decision to break ties. But insiders suggest that tensions may have been building for years. For Vivian, growing up in a family where public and private lives often collided posed unique challenges. Musk's outspoken views on issues like gender and societal norms often made headlines, but they also seemed to deepen the distance between him and some of his children. Vivian's legal name change was a clear statement of autonomy, but it also reflected the strain of navigating personal identity in such a high-profile family. Publicly, Musk has remained tight-lipped about the specifics of his relationship with Vivian, though his broader commentary on societal issues offers clues to the underlying tensions. In various interviews and social media posts, Musk has criticized what he refers to as the woke mind virus, linking it to ideological shifts he finds troubling. These comments, while not directly aimed at Vivian, resonate strongly with the growing divide between them. For a young adult striving to forge her own path, these remarks likely felt like indirect rebukes. Despite these challenges, Musk continues to express love for all of his children, often taking to social media to celebrate fatherhood. His tweets about spending time with his kids or sharing glimpses of their activities provide a stark contrast to the publicized estrangement with Vivian. These glimpses raise an important question. How does Musk reconcile his role as a father with the demands and controversies of his public life? For a man who prides himself on innovation and disruption, the nuances of family relationships seem to present a challenge that even he struggles to master. The dynamics among Musk's children add another layer of complexity to this narrative. With 12 siblings spread across multiple relationships, the family is anything but conventional. Each child grows up in a unique context, shaped not only by Musk's influence, but also by the distinct dynamics of their mother's relationships with him. This raises questions about the bonds that exist or don't between the siblings. Are they united by their shared experience of growing up in Musk's orbit? Or do the differences in their upbringings create barriers? Some reports suggest that Musk has a vision for his children to live and work together in the future, potentially contributing to his legacy through his companies or other ventures. This vision aligns with Musk's broader philosophy of meritocracy, where individuals earn their roles based on capability rather than inheritance. However, this approach comes with its own set of challenges. For children raised in immense privilege, the pressure to prove themselves on their own terms can be overwhelming.